Imagine you're in the Supreme Court of India, right? This is the apex court of our country. It's it's sort of the highest level that you can get. So now imagine that you were sitting inside of the court and there is an argument that is going in the court, right? The argument is against reservations. Reservations of what? Reservations in educational institutes. Now let's assume for a fact that India is just newly independent, right? Perhaps it's not even newly independent. Perhaps we're still under colonial rule, but we've got our own interim government, right? So assume that there's this case in the court, okay? There are no reservations in any educational institutes, and the court case that is going on right now is for the reservation in the education institutions based on for the students who are below poverty line, right? For the people who are very poor, okay? Now, this case is being fought by two people, okay? The person who's for this reservations, right? Let me just break it like this, right? So on one side you've got those who are sorry, I forgot this pen isn't working. So at one side you've got the person who's for reservations, and his name is Hegel, okay? And I'm sure you must have heard of Hegel. He was the person who influenced Marx a lot, right? And the other person who is against reservation, so he's for and he's against. This person is Hayek. F.A. Hayek, okay? This is F.A. Hayek. And he is against reservations, while Hegel is for reservations. Let's assume Hayek starts the argument, okay? Remember, Hayek is against reservations. Hayek starts the argument by saying that different individuals have different talents, right? Now, since different individuals have different talents, therefore it would be actually unequal to treat all of them equally, right? So, to treat each individual equally would mean, in effect, to treat them unequally. Why? Because they differ in their talents. Now let's assume that two people have the same talent. Okay, now we're dealing with the same talent. Now if two people have the same talent but they've got difference in ability of that talent, then it is again incorrect to treat them equally, because again you will be treating them unequally. Okay, so what is the argument that he gives? That inequality of talents inequality of talent leads to no equality, right? This is his belief, and therefore he says that even if we treat different people equally, then that would mean that we are in effect treating them unequally, right? Unequally. This is Hayek's argument, and I think that's a good argument, right? Now, what would Hegel say? But before Hegel, I want to ask you, all of the people who are watching this video, what would you say to Hayek's argument? And I would appreciate if you write it down. It would help me in my understanding as well, right? So what would Hegel say to this? Now Hegel opens his understanding and his explanation in quote, and he says, well, Hayek, what do you say to the fact that different social situations lead to different social outputs? Let's say he submits credible tests, credible psychological tests to prove this, right? If he proves that people who are born in different social let's say strata result in differing social outputs. Okay, those who are born in the higher strata socially will naturally produce better output, and those who are born poor in the social strata would produce lesser output. What do you say to this? Now what Hayek would say, right? So what he says is, Hegel says different social situation is equal to different social outputs. Now what does Hayek say to this? Hayek presents a brilliant point against this, right? So Hayek says it does not matter what somebody's social status is, okay? It does not matter what your social status is. He says that the progress of a human the progress of the human race depends upon the knowledge that humans have, right? So he says the knowledge amongst the humans result in their evolution, and therefore those who give more knowledge should get more freedom. And if I have to quote him in verbatim, what he says is that the cake of equality or the cake of liberty, the cake of liberty should not be distributed amongst all equally. Rather, it should be distributed on the basis of who contributes more to the social knowledge. This was what Hayek believed, that it does not matter what your social strata is, it does not matter what your social situations are. Whoever contributes more to the knowledge shall get more liberty. And to supplement his argument, he would quote what Nozick would say, right? If I have to quote Nozick, so then Nozick is one of the thinkers that we also have to study, and Nozick says that inequalities of wealth, okay, and this is what Hayek and Nozick would say. Hayek says, well, I don't believe that different social strata give different social outputs, whatever your result may be, and the reason why I don't believe in that is because difference of individual wealth, okay, is a direct output of your talents. So at one level, Hayek says that different individuals have different talents and therefore we cannot treat them equally. And he says therefore the difference in their different social strata is a result of their differing talents. He says because a wealthy person is more talented than a less wealthy person is the reason why he is at a higher social strata than the less wealthy person. And this would be Hayek's argument. So what Hayek would say is that individual wealth is equal to your talent. And he would well, this is essentially Nozick's argument. He is one of our thinkers. We will be studying him in depth. But this is what he would quote, right? He would I think what he would do is he would quote Nozick over here. Okay. Now and then after this he says, well, the progress of man is equal to knowledge. Thus, who gives more knowledge gets more liberty. And I will again quote to you what he says. He says the cake of freedom is not to be divided on the basis of equal shares for all, but on the basis of each individual's contribution to progress. And how do we measure that contribution? We measure that contribution on the basis of knowledge that each and every individual gives. Okay. Now, what do you say to Hayek? How do you counter Hayek? How do you think Hegel would counter Hayek? Essentially what Hegel would say is, Hayek, I agree with you. I agree that difference in individual wealth is a direct product of difference in talent. But you see, this hypothesis of yours will only work if all the institutions are completely credible and that there is no that they run on truth. That is, if all educational institutes are truthful, only and only then difference in your different positions is because of your talent. For example, let me give you an example. Let's say an educational institute only values merit. Okay, it distinguishes amongst individuals on the basis of merit and merit only. Now, in such an institute which has truth as its basis, yes, you will have different individuals with different talents, and therefore the more talented an individual, he will be more meritorious and he would be rewarded more by that educational institute. So Hegel would say, I agree with you, Hayek, but only if the institutions that you're talking about are completely true. But you see, what Hegel would say is that what is theoretical may not be effective. And I'll write this down so that you can use it. He says, what is theoretical is not effective. And therefore he would say that, the institutions that you talk about are not really as truthful as you think they are. For the market that you so value, is perhaps not as unbiased as you think it is, because Hayek essentially spoke in favor of the markets, right? So he says that, maybe, and Hegel is saying this, right? Hegel says that it is one thing to say that the education is free for all, and it is a different thing, and it is much different if you say that, well, education is too pricey. Okay, so at one point the state says that education is free for all, and that you can and that there is no, the state will not stop individuals from pursuing individual. But at the same time, if education is too expensive for individuals to afford, well, then what's the point of making no impediments of education? Okay, let me frame this better, right? Let me give a better example of this. If the state says, so let's say Hayek is saying, now Hayek is not completely opposed to the idea of welfare state, right? Hayek says that let there be a basic minimum wage that each individual has, but do not make the market the instrument of redistributive justice. I'll write it down. Okay, so what he says is, let there be welfare, but do not make market the instrument of welfare, of redistributive justice, essentially. And Nozick would agree with this. Essentially what Nozick would say over here is, he would talk about the development of state, and he would say, essentially the reason why state ever developed was to protect the property of humans, and therefore the state was much more like an organization, much more like a multinational company which catered to the needs of the citizens or the individuals. So it was like a multinational company that catered to the needs of the individuals. Therefore, the individuals were the clients and the state was the multinational corporation, right? And there would be bidding amongst who is the best multinational company that can protect the interests, that can protect the property of the people, and the company that would win would become the state, right? So then Nozick asks, well, if you're essentially a company who is protecting my property, how can you decide what happens with my property? How can you decide that the share of my property goes to the advancement of the poor people in the society? Because you didn't ask my permission for it, and you definitely don't have my consent for it, right? So he says, how can the company which is supposed to safeguard my property engages in redistributive justice, right? It shouldn't. And that is essentially what Hayek says, right? So let there be welfare, let the state do welfare, but do not make the market an instrument of redistributive justice. And Hayek would say that by allowing reservations in educational institutes for the poor people, you would be doing that. You would be letting market become an institution of redistributive justice. Now, why does he not want that to happen? Well, those are a lot of different arguments, but you see, I deviated from what Hegel would say. Essentially, Hegel would say that maybe you're allowing the state to be a welfare state. Maybe you're saying that the government would not interfere in the education of the citizens. But it's one thing for the government to not interfere in the education of the citizens, and it's a different thing that education itself exists at such an expensive price that a lot of individuals can't get education. So you're saying that you're allowing individuals to get education, but education is so expensive that individuals cannot afford it, and therefore he says what is theoretical may not be effective. And therefore what Hegel says to Hayek is, sure, you're allowing the state to give education, but the education is itself so expensive that people can't have it, and therefore he advocates for the state to come in to lessen the cost of education, or to have reservations within these educational institutions so that the poor people can also afford to go to these educations. And essentially when Hegel says that the state should step in and that it should allow for the citizens to, and the state should step in and that it should make the education affordable so that the citizens can afford the education, what he's advocating for is positive liberty. And by saying that the state should not make market an instrument of redistributive justice, what Hayek is advocating for is negative liberty. Okay? Now we can go back and forth in this argument, and well, we can try to understand why Hayek does not want the state to interfere with the market. And the primary reason what Hayek would give would be that if you allow the market to become an instrument of redistributive justice, then you're killing innovation. How are you killing innovation? You're killing innovation because, well, the people know that whether they work hard or not, a lot of people would still be getting jobs, right? Therefore, the competition ends. You kill the competition. You sort of, by playing with the market forces, you're essentially playing with the forces that you don't really understand. So therefore, there could be a lot of uncalculated consequences of that as well. And what Hegel would say to that would be that, but you see, market is just one aspect of the society, right? Market is just one aspect of the society, and if the society is to maintain a social order, the state should be able to control and regulate the market. Control would be the wrong word, but that it should be able to regulate the market. And if it does not regulate the market, then the state would allow the individuals to stop being individuals and become economic agents. And that is the characteristic of the market. That is, if market is not interfered with, the individuals only exist as economic agents, and they cease to be individuals, that is, socially harmonious creatures who depend on one another. Every person engages in individualism, be it in their thoughts or be it in their economic activities, and that is disruptive for the society. And then Hayek can argue on that, and Hegel would argue on that, and then we can go on and on and on. But we've gotten to a point where I wanted to come. I wanted to come to the point of understanding what is positive liberty and what is negative liberty. Now, well, you would say that we don't even know what is liberty. Why are you talking about what is positive and negative liberty? But you see, you do get the understanding of what I'm talking about, right? just give me a second. I hope this is still recording. Yes, it is. So, you do get an understanding of what is liberty, right? Essentially, but before that, let's focus on this concept, right? Essentially, when Hegel says that the state should come in, the state should subsidize education, the state should give reservation in education institutions, what Hegel is advocating for is the involvement of state to ensure that you have liberty. Okay? And when Hayek says that the state should not interfere with the market, the state should not subsidize education, the state should not give reservations on the basis of the economic strata of the individual, what Hayek is advocating for is negative liberty. So how do we understand what is positive and negative liberty? It's very simple. Positive liberty, you see, refers to the positive role of the state, in which the state is seen as a positive entity. Now, if something is seen as a positive entity, you naturally want to associate with it. You naturally want to involve it in your life, and therefore it refers to the positive role of the state to remove the impediments from the path of the individual, so that the individual is able to attain his/her role, right? Therefore, positive liberty refers to the positive role of the state, that is, the state is considered to be a positive entity which removes the impediments from the path of the individual so that the individual is able to obtain his or her goal. The state helps the individual in attaining his or her goal, and therefore it is seen in a positive light, and therefore it actively engages in allowing the individual or helping the individual to attain his goal. Negative liberty refers to the negative role of the state, in which state is seen as evil, and therefore it refers to the non-interference of state. Okay, तो पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी में स्टेट एक्टिवली एक पार्ट लेती है टू अलाउ द इंडिविजुअल्स टू अटेन देयर गोल्स। नेगेटिव लिबर्टी में स्टेट कोई पार्ट नहीं लेती है। नेगेटिव लिबर्टी में स्टेट नॉन इंटरफियरेंस करती है। नेगेटिव लिबर्टी में देयर इज नो इंटरफियरेंस ऑफ द स्टेट, पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी में देयर इज इंटरफियरेंस ऑफ द स्टेट, but in a positive manner, that is to allow the individuals to attain their goals. Okay, so now that we've understood the negative and the positive liberty, we can go to the understanding of what is liberty. देखो ये काफी इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है, ठीक है। इसके अलग अलग डेफिनेशंस हैं। कोई कहता है कि it is the lack of impediments in the path of the individual to attain his or her goal, but that we've already seen, that is the positive liberty. Some say it is the non-interference of the state, that we've seen is the negative liberty. But bhai, what is liberty? Liberty का basic one word definition would be that libertarians generally argue is liberty is equal to freedom. Okay, this is the understanding of liberty. Liberty is freedom. Brilliant. What do we go? Where do we go from here? You see, एक है ना, एक concept आता है कि liberty is the principle of liberalism, while equality is the universal principle of humans. Okay? ये understanding थोड़ी सी flawed है। क्यों? क्योंकि liberty itself is also a universal principle. कोई भी अगर आप देखते हो liberal movement जो हुई है, okay, all of the liberal movements or all of the movements essentially have been fought for to some degree freedom, but you see this freedom cannot exist in vacuum. This freedom cannot exist on an individual basis. Freedom should be distributed amongst all equally, right? If that does not happen, then there is no freedom even in the society. Okay, therefore not only is the principle of equality a universal principle, liberty is also a universal principle, correct? तो अब इसमें इक्वालिटी और लिबर्टी का जो डायनामिक है ना, वो काफी इंटरेस्टिंग डायनामिक है। उसका एक झलक हमने यहाँ पर देखा था बिटवीन हेगल एंड हाइक, इन विच हाइक कहते हैं कि सबको फ्रीडम नहीं मिलना चाहिए। क्यों? क्योंकि सब तो इनइक्वल लेवल पर एग्जिस्ट करते हैं। टैलेंट्स के बेसिस पे, गिफ्ट्स के बेसिस पे लोग इनइक्वल है, तो वो इनइक्वल है तो सबको मैं फ्रीडम कैसे दे दूं? हेगल जो है कहते हैं नहीं यार, सबको फ्रीडम देना चाहिए। और कौन से बेसिस पर कहते हैं पता है? हेगल का जो ये आइडिया है, हम इसे आइडियल स्टेट मानते हैं, क्योंकि हेगल आइडियल स्टेट मानता था। हेगल यूज्ड टू बिलीव दैट द स्टेट इज आइडियल, दैट इट इज अ स्टेट दैट इज बेस्ड ऑन रीजन एंड देयरफॉर एवरीबॉडी शुड बी गिवन इक्वल फ्रीडम। हाइक डिड नॉट बिलीव इन दिस। सो we've essentially defined liberty. We've essentially understood what is the main concept around the liberty. अब स्कोप ऑफ लिबर्टी काफी इंपॉर्टेंट होती है, ठीक है। व्हाट इज द स्कोप ऑफ दिस लिबर्टी? लिबर्टी का स्कोप जो है उसे दो चीजों में बांटा जा सकता है, ठीक है। स्कोप ऑफ लिबर्टी इज डिवाइडेड अमंग्स टू थिंग्स, ओके। नंबर वन, लिबर्टी एंड इंडिविजुअल। नंबर टू, लिबर्टी एंड स्टेट, ओके। अब एसेंशियली लिबर्टी एंड इंडिविजुअल तो ठीक है, एंड लिबर्टी एंड स्टेट भी ठीक है, चलो मैं सही कह रहा हूं। लिबर्टी एंड इंडिविजुअल लीड्स टू लाइसेंस। देखो मेरी स्पेलिंग गलत हो सकती है, ठीक है, आई एम नॉट गुड विद स्पेलिंग्स। नंबर टू इज लिबर्टी स्टेट कैन लीड टू अथॉरिटी। उसी के रिगार्डिंग मैंने एक ट्रायंगल भी बनाया। ये ट्रायंगल दिख रहा है? पता नहीं मुझे कितना अच्छा है, कितना फोकस है, उतना नहीं पता मुझे, बट ये ट्रायंगल दिख रहा है ना, इसको मैं ऐसे कर लेता हूँ। और ये वो प्रिंसिपल है जिसके मैं बात कर रहा था। देखो, लिबरल प्रिंसिपल इज लिबर्टी, यूनिवर्सल प्रिंसिपल इक्वालिटी। ये इनकरेक्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग है। लिबरल प्रिंसिपल भी यूनिवर्सल है, ठीक है, इट इज आल्सो यूनिवर्सल। सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ लिबर्टी पे थोड़ा टाइम में आ जाएंगे, पहले हम स्कोप ऑफ लिबर्टी समझते हैं, ठीक है। तो लिबर्टी एंड इंडिविजुअल, लिबर्टी एंड स्टेट। देखिए, लिबर्टी एंड इंडिविजुअल का बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्या है कि इसके लिए आपको आना पड़ता है ओरिजिन ऑफ स्टेट के ऊपर, कि स्टेट ओरिजिनेट क्यों हुई। लिबर्टेरियंस ये आर्ग्यू करते हैं that the state essentially one of the reasons for the origination of the state was to regulate the claims between the individual and the society, ठीक है। तो जैसे कि होता आ रहा है, इंडिविजुअल कहता था मेरा ये क्लेम है, दिस इज व्हाट माय फ्रीडम अलाउज मी टू डू। सोसाइटी कहती थी नहीं, तुम ये नहीं कर सकते, तुम वो नहीं कर सकते, तुम वो नहीं कर सकते, तुम ये कर सकते हो, ठीक है। सो द क्लेम ऑफ फ्रीडम बिटवीन individual and society, there needed to be someone who can regulate this claim. There needed to be someone who can regulate the claim between the individual and the society. The regulation of this claim between the individual and the society, इसको regulate करने के लिए जन्मी थी state. The state was created to regulate the claim between the individual as well as the society, right? तो state की इस वजह से origination हुआ था. अब आप देखिए कि अगर स्टेट किसी इंडिविजुअल को बहुत ज्यादा लिबर्टी दे दे, सो दैट विल लीड टू लाइसेंस, ठीक है. एंड अगर स्टेट जो है वो सोसाइटी को बहुत ज्यादा लिबर्टी दे दे, दैट विल लीड टू अथॉरिटी, ठीक है. सो व्हाट इज लाइसेंस एंड व्हाट इज अथॉरिटी? बेसिक वे में समझाता हूँ, इट विल गो वेरी क्विकली. एसेंशियली लाइसेंस इज व्हेन देयर इज नो स्टॉपिंग, okay, wherein you are given complete liberty to do whatever you want. And that is why I essentially had a very important question, that is, why the hell am I not allowed to do what I want to do? Okay, so let's assume that I want to drive at 180 kilometers per hour. Can I do that? I mean, I can't. Why can't I drive at 180 hours per hour? I have that liberty. Let's say I have the liberty to drive, okay. So why can't I drive? The reason is because if you're driving at 180 kilometers per hour, you're threatening the other individuals. Therefore, by expressing your liberty, you're threatening the liberty of the other individuals. And that is not allowed. Why is that not allowed? Because let's say you are you have been given legal liberty to drive at 180 kilometers per hour at a very busy road. Now, if you do that, you will be killing a lot of people and therefore taking away their liberty. Point being, the liberty of one man degenerating into license is a threat to liberty of all. Okay? इसे बहुत अच्छे से एक थिंकर ने लिखा था. लिबर्टी एंड लाइसेंस में मैं ये इनका नाम मेंशन कर लेता हूँ. ये जो थिंकर थे, इनका नाम था L.T. Hobhouse. ठीक है? L.T. Hobhouse ने क्या कहा था? He had said that the and well it's not verbatim, but the concept was, I'm paraphrasing, the concept was that the liberty, the license of one man, okay, liberty degenerating into license for one man leads to एक सेकंड, let me use this in verbatim, ठीक है. let me मेरे को इसको verbatim नहीं कहना है तुमको, क्योंकि ये बहुत अच्छा concept है, ठीक है. So the uncharted freedom of one would be the conditional servitude of all but one, and if equal freedom of all is to be ensured, then equal giving up of liberty of all is also needed. Point being, the uncharted freedom of one leads to the conditional servitude of all. एक बंदे को अगर हमने अनलिमिटेड लिबर्टी दे दी तो उसकी लिबर्टी सबके लिए एक थ्रेड बन जाएगी, उसकी लिबर्टी बाकी सबके लिबर्टी के लिए थ्रेड बन जाएगी. तो अगर कोई एक बंदा के पास लिबर्टी है, को 180 किलोमीटर पर आवर की रफ्तार से बाजार में गाड़ी चला सकता है, तो उससे जितने भी लोग बाजार में हैं उन सबकी लिबर्टी थ्रेट में आ जाती है. एंड that is not allowed. Why is that not allowed? If you allow that, सबके पास कभी इक्वल लिबर्टी नहीं हो सकती, ठीक है. तो ये L.T. Hobhouse की स्टेटमेंट थी, बहुत इंप्रेसिव, बहुत अच्छी स्टेटमेंट है. इसके बाद एक और थिंकर थे अर्नेस्ट बेकर. इनके काफी अच्छी तो और देखो स्टेटमेंट्स में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. अर्नेस्ट बेकर ने ये कहा था कि क्योंकि सबकी लिबर्टी जो है वो रिस्पेक्टिव है, क्योंकि सबकी लिबर्टी जो है वो एडजस्टेड है. पॉइंट बी कि अगर मैं कोई मिल का ओनर हूं तो और मैंने ये लिबर्टी ले ली टू डिसाइड द वर्किंग आवर्स ऑफ द मिल, देन जो लोग वहां पर काम करते हैं तो उनकी भी ये लिबर्टी है कि उनका भी एक से होगा on what those working hours will be. So my liberty was in respect to this individual, that is the workers who work there, as I am the owner and they are the workers. So my liberty is in respect to these workers. At the same time, my liberty was adjusted to the liberty of those workers. So he says, Ernest Becker says that if each and every individual's liberty is if each and every individual's liberty is respective and adjusted, so each and every individual's liberty should also be adjusted or should also be regulated. And the only way to regulate each and every individual's liberty is to have a state. ठीक है? तो वो कहते हैं कि अगर लिबर्टी रखनी है तो उसे रेगुलेट करना पड़ेगा. क्यों? क्योंकि हर इंडिविजुअल की लिबर्टी रिस्पेक्टिव होती है और एडजस्टेड होती है. ये अर्नेस्ट बेकर एंड L.T. Hobhouse के दो अलग अलग स्टेटमेंट्स थे, काफी अच्छे स्टेटमेंट्स थे, एसेंशियली ब्रिलियंट स्टेटमेंट्स. अर्नेस्ट बेकर के ही स्टेटमेंट से हम अगले इस पे आ जाते हैं। तो मैं यहाँ पे लिख लेता हूँ, वैसे आप जो है और डेप्थ में से पढ़ सकते हो अर्नेस्ट बेकर एंड एल टी हॉबाउस के स्टेटमेंट्स को। तो यहाँ पर जो है लिबर्टी एंड स्टेट, लिबर्टी एंड अथॉरिटी, तो अथॉरिटी के जो बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट आ जाता है ना, वो अर्नेस्ट बेकर के स्टेटमेंट से ही आएगा। जैसे अर्नेस्ट बेकर ने कहा कि यार हर लिबर्टी को तो रेगुलेट करना पड़ेगा। हमने पहले ही देखा था स्टेट ओरिजिनेट ही वजह से हुई थी। अकॉर्डिंग टू द लिबर्टेरियंस, वन ऑफ द रीजंस वाज of the origination of the state was to regulate the claims of freedom between the individual as well as the society। ठीक है, तो इन्हें जो है रेगुलेट करने के लिए स्टेट पैदा हुई थी। तो उसी वजह से है ना, सिंस नॉट, तो देखो अब अथॉरिटी का क्या बेसिस है, तो अब यहां पर एक बेसिक आर्ग्यूमेंट क्या मिल रहा है, यहां पे हम देख रहे हैं कि स्टेट के पास क्यों ये राइट होना चाहिए कि वो हर इंडिविजुअल की लिबर्टी ले ले। ठीक है, अब इसका एक बहुत बेसिक सा अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, और वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग ये कहता है, देखो लिबर्टी इज अ रैशनल थिंग। ठीक है, ये हो गई मेरी स्टेटमेंट नंबर 1। एंड दिस, एंड व्हाट इज द क्वेश्चन ओवर हियर, व्हाई शुड स्टेट हैव द राइट to demand my liberty। ठीक है, एंड अब इसका बेसिस क्या होगा पता है, तो ये हो गया मेरा पहला स्टेटमेंट दैट लिबर्टी इज अ रैशनल थिंग। माय सेकंड स्टेटमेंट वुड बी ह्यूमन इज अ रैशनल बीइंग। सो इफ लिबर्टी इज अ रैशनल थिंग, ह्यूमन इज अ रैशनल बीइंग, तो मेरा ये तीसरा स्टेटमेंट नहीं होगा कि ह्यूमन when using liberty will use liberty for rational things। यार देखो, ये तो काफी बेसिक हो गया ना, ये तो काफी मतलब बहुत ही अंडरस्टैंडेबल कॉन्सेप्ट हो गया। लिबर्टी इज अ रैशनल थिंग, ह्यूमंस आर अ रैशनल बीइंग, इफ ह्यूमंस यूज लिबर्टी दे वुड यूज लिबर्टी टू परस्यू अ रैशनल थिंग। बहुत बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है लिबर्टी की। तो पर अब इसमें खूबसूरत पता है क्या है, इसमें खूबसूरत है कि जो ह्यूमंस होंगे, नॉट एवरी ह्यूमन विल एक्ट इन एन अल्ट्रुइस्टिक मैनर, नॉट एवरी ह्यूमन विल एक्ट इन अकॉर्डेंस टू व्हाट इज करेक्ट, बट उस पे बाद में आता है। तो एसेंशियली व्हाट विल बी rational things? So now see, if this was question 1, my question 2 will be what are rational things? So net rational things क्या होते हैं? Rational things are to pursue happiness, pursue individual happiness in accordance, ये काफी important word है, ठीक है, in accordance, यहाँ पे मैं ये भी कर लूँ, मार्कर्स ये कर लूँ, in accordance with social happiness। ठीक है, तो रैशनल चीज क्या होगी कि मैं अपना हैप्पीनेस सोशल हैप्पीनेस के साथ परस्यू करता हूं। ठीक है, I will pursue my happiness in such a way that it leads to the social happiness. It is harmonious with social happiness. I will not pursue my happiness at the cost of social happiness. I will not pursue my happiness in such a manner, or I will not pursue such happiness which is against the social happiness. Whatever happiness I pursue is in harmony with the social happiness. As long as this is my definition, that is a rational thing. But not all human beings are rational. Well, they are rational, but they choose to not act on their rationality because it's easier to give into your lesser instincts. So not all humans are rational, and therefore not all humans will engage in the pursuit of happiness in accordance with social happiness. But जैसा हमने देखा था, अगर एक person को भी uncharted freedom मिल गया, according to L.T. Lobhaus, if even one single person is given uncharted freedom, that would lead to the conditional servitude of all but one. Point being, अगर एक person ने भी अपना happiness को rationally pursue नहीं किया, that would lead to the elimination or the breaking down of the social happiness. We can't let that happen, and but not all humans pursue their happiness rationally. So what do we do then? Therefore I should give some of my liberty to the state, and therefore the state comes and regulates. ठीक है, क्योंकि सब इंडिविजुअल्स इस तरीके से अपने हैप्पीनेस को नहीं परस्यू करेंगे कि ओवरऑल सोशल हैप्पीनेस का बेनिफिट हो, और चूंकि वो ऐसा नहीं करेंगे, स्टेट की प्रेजेंस रिक्वायर्ड होती है ताकि ये जो इंडिविजुअल्स हो जो एंटी सोशल एक्टिविटीज में एंगेज कर रहे हैं उन्हें हम वापस पकड़ के लाए, so that the social happiness does not break, the social fabric does not tatter, right? That is essentially why I should give some of my liberty to the state to ensure that the greater liberty of the society, of which I am equally a part of, is restored and is kept, right? Not restored but is maintained. Maintained would be the right word here. And therefore, but अब इसमें बस यही प्रॉब्लम आ जाता है कि अगर स्टेट के पास बहुत लिबर्टी आ जाए तो वो अथॉरिटेटिव बन जाती है. उसके लिए तो कोई एग्जाम्पल देने की जरूरत है नहीं मुझे. तो आप समझ रहे हो, इंडिविजुअल को बहुत लिबर्टी दे दोगे तो लाइसेंस हो जाता है, स्टेट को बहुत लिबर्टी दे दोगे तो अथॉरिटी हो जाती है. और उसी वजह से ट्रायंगल बनाए. देखो यहाँ पे लिबर्टी, लाइसेंस, अथॉरिटी. ठीक है, अगर बहुत ज्यादा मैंने लिबर्टी दे दी कि इंडिविजुअल को तो लाइसेंस हो जाएगा, बहुत ज्यादा लिबर्टी मैंने दे दी स्टेट को तो अथॉरिटी हो जाएगी. ठीक है, तो ये ट्रायंगल है, इसको वी कैन कॉल दिस लिबर्टी ट्रायंगल. ठीक है, लिबर्टी ट्रायंगल. अब ये लिबर्टी ट्रायंगल. नाउ व्हाट डू वी डू? वेल, वी गॉट डायमेंशंस ऑफ लिबर्टी लेफ्ट. और डायमेंशंस ऑफ लिबर्टी के बाद हम एसेंशियली कंटेम्परेरी डिबेट्स पर ही आ जाते हैं. कंटेम्परेरी डिबेट तो नेट हमने देख ही लिया था. वी स्टार्टेड विद द कंटेम्परेरी डिबेट बिकॉज़ आई वांटेड टू स्टार्ट विद गिविंग यू गाइस एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ, you know, fine, we talk about liberty, we talk about freedom, but what is it in effect? What are the debates with which we have to deal with? ठीक है, तो ये Hegel Hayek debate तो हमने समझ लिया. कंटेम्परेरी देखो, quickly let me go through the dimensions of liberty very quickly. Okay, we're out of paper. Okay, we have paper. Bear with me. You will have to थोड़ा मतलब ऊपर आकर आपको देखना पड़ेगा. तो अगर मैं dimensions of liberty की बात करूँ तो डायमेंशंस काफी सिंपल है. ठीक है, we just glance over these because you know they're not very difficult to do, right? The first one is so the first one is civil liberty. ठीक है, civil liberty is my favorite liberty, काफी इंटरेस्टिंग है. Second one is political liberty. Third one is economic liberty, right? So let's first deal with civil liberty. अब देखिए civil liberty जो है ना बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है. अर्नेस्ट बेकर ने किताब लिखी थी, उस किताब का नाम मैं भूल रहा हूँ, बट उस किताब में एसेंशियली उन्होंने जो है सिविल लिबर्टी के बारे में बात करी थी. सिविल लिबर्टी के बारे में जब वो बात कर रहे थे तब उन्होंने कहा था कि सिविल लिबर्टी इज एसेंशियली पर्सनल लिबर्टी. ठीक है, सिविल लिबर्टी इज इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टी. तो मैं यहां पर लिख भी देता हूं, सिविल लिबर्टी इज अब इस सिविल लिबर्टी के स्कोप में क्या क्या आता है, राइट? सो लेट मी जस्ट टॉक, मतलब कोट वर्बेटम यहां पे, दैट सिविल लिबर्टी प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ सोशल एंड पॉलिटिकल थियरी था वैसे उनके इसका नाम. एंड ओवर हियर उन्होंने एसेंशियली बात करी थी कि लिबर्टी ऑफ द मैन इज द कैपेसिटी ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल पर्सन. इट इज हिज पर्सनल लिबर्टी, जैसे हमने अभी अभी देखा, इट इज द इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टी, राइट? एसेंशियली जब हम इसको यहाँ पर पढ़ते हैं तो तीन डायमेंशंस हैं. ठीक है, इंडिविजुअल लिबर्टी को मैं तीन बेस में, तीन बेसिक आइडियाज में डिवाइड कर सकता हूँ. कौन से आइडियाज में डिवाइड करूंगा भैया? देखो, द फर्स्ट आइडिया दैट इज इन सिविल लिबर्टी इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ फ्री मूवमेंट. ठीक है, एसेंशियली if I've been given civil liberty, it presupposes that I am able to move freely anywhere in the country. अब there is ये जो है फ्री मूवमेंट का कॉन्सेप्ट सिविल लिबर्टी के अंदर, इट इज उसमें ज्यादा कुछ डिस्प्यूटेशन है नहीं, उसमें ज्यादा कोई डिबेट करने वाली चीज नहीं है भाई। जो सिविल लिबर्टी है दैट इज योर एबिलिटी टू मूव फ्रीली इन योर कंट्री, वन ऑफ द एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ दैट इज, इसमें कोई डिस्प्यूट करने वाली बात नहीं है until unless of course you are gathering or going for an anti-social activity and that you are a threat to the interest of the nation, right? So until then that it is a more or less, उसमें कोई आप ये नहीं कर सकते डिस्प्यूट, तो फ्री मूवमेंट। अब हम बात करते हैं दूसरे कॉन्सेप्ट की, ओके। द सेकंड कॉन्सेप्ट वुड बी फ्री स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन। फ्री स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन को अगर आपको समझना है ना, एंड व्हाई इट इज वैल्यूड एंड व्हाई इट शुड बी वैल्यूड, देन आई हाईली रिकमेंड यू रीड James Mill, J.S. Mill, and his book on liberty and subjugation of women. The second part is what deals with the subjugation of women. The first part deals with liberty, okay? And in that he puts a brilliant argument as to why opinions which are rather controversial, opinions which are offensive, opinions which are extremely offensive should still be put out. Okay, because it is in the interest of the man. So he says, if I have to quote Mill, I think he says that it is in the permanent interest of man as a progressive being for there to be freedom in thought and expression, because without that evolution of knowledge is not possible, right? So I think there is no disputation in this as well. हाँ, अब उसमें वो जरूर आ जाता है कि कितना सेंसर करना चाहिए कितना नहीं, बट नेट मिल ये जरूर कहते थे कि नो मैटर हाउ ऑफेंसिव एनी आइडिया शुड बी एबल टू बी पुट आउट, ठीक है। दिस वाज हिज अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड इट इज अ ब्रिलियंट आर्गुमेंट। इफ यू वांट टू स्टडी इट मोर इन डेप्थ, देन आई सीरियसली रिकमेंड दैट यू गो थ्रू हिज बुक ऑन लिबर्टी एंड सब्जुगेशन ऑफ वुमेन। दैट वाज द सेकंड कांसेप्ट ऑफ सिविल लिबर्टी। थर्ड कांसेप्ट आ जाता है contracts. Essentially freedom to engage in all contracts, ठीक है। जब हम नेगेटिव लिबर्टी को पढ़ेंगे ना, तो आप ओरिजिनेशन ऑफ नेगेटिव लिबर्टी को जब पढ़ोगे तब उसमें आपको पता चलेगा कि लिबर्टेरियंस ने एसेंशियली कहा था कि all contracts should be enforced by the state. This was their view, ठीक है। And why did they say that? They said all contracts should be enforced by the state because no one apart from the individual knows what is in the best interest of the individual, ठीक है। उसी इंडिविजुअल को पता रहेगा what is in my best interest, और अगर वो खुद से वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन कर रहा है तो आपकी ड्यूटी है एज अ स्टेट टू एनफोर्स दैट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। This was the understanding that was given of negative. This was the understanding that libertarians had when they said that the state should enforce all the contracts. ये जो एस्पेक्ट है ये उसी के साथ डील करता है। ये कहता है कि ऑल द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स जो होते हैं स्टेट की, उसको स्टेट को एनफोर्स कर देने चाहिए। बट इसमें ब्रिलियंट आर्गुमेंट एक ये पुट करते हैं, आई थिंक एल टी हॉबाउस, यस इट इज एल टी हॉबाउस, इज इट एल टी हॉबाउस, यस इट इज एल टी हॉबाउस। उनकी किताब थी एलिमेंट्स ऑफ सोशल जस्टिस, उसमें वो कहते हैं कि आप करिए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स को एनफोर्स, देयर इज नो टू वेज, आप दीजिए फ्रीडम दैट टू पीपल कैन एंगेज इन व्हाटएवर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दे मे चूज, सो राइट। There are no two ways about this, but it is on the condition that both the parties which are involved in the contract are fundamentally equal, right? I think the word he used was distinctly substantially equal. He used the word substantially equal. Both the parties engaging in the contract should be substantially equal, because if one party is more powerful than the other party when they are engaging in the contract, this less powerful party, there is a very high possibility that it is being coerced by the more powerful party, right? तो ये जो ज़्यादा powerful party that can coerce the less powerful party to engage in contracts, and therefore उन्होंने कहा था कि ये condition necessary होनी चाहिए, ठीक है। net civil liberty इसी के साथ deal करती है, ठीक है, and it is one of my favorite liberties, ठीक है। मुझे बहुत पसंद आता है इसके बारे में पढ़ना। सेकेंड लिबर्टी है पॉलिटिकल लिबर्टी। देखिए पॉलिटिकल लिबर्टी बहुत सिंपल है। पॉलिटिकल लिबर्टी कहती है दैट एसेंशियली नेट पॉलिटिकल प्रोसेसेस the freedom to engage in political processes, right? To engage in political processes, this is पॉलिटिकल लिबर्टी का वन एस्पेक्ट. To put it in more, well, let's say, comprehensive terms, political liberty says that each individual who is a part of the country should have the right in electing and controlling his or her government. That is, I should be able to choose who represents me, who is governing me, and I should also have the ability to control them. Political liberty, therefore, this is civil liberty dealt with individual liberty. Political liberty refers to the political aspect of an individual. That is, political liberty refers to citizen वाला aspect. ठीक है? अगर मैं यहाँ पे कहूँ तो in the capacity of a citizen, हाँ वही है कि political liberty refers to your capacity, refers to you in capacity as a citizen. ठीक है? तो ये थे इंडिविजुअल की कैपेसिटी में सिविल लिबर्टी, पॉलिटिकल लिबर्टी है आपकी सिटीजन की कैपेसिटी में. ठीक है, तो ये था सिविल लिबर्टी, ये था पॉलिटिकल लिबर्टी. ठीक है, लेट्स एसेंशियली मतलब यहाँ पे और टाइम वेस्ट करना मुझे नहीं लगता फ्रूटफुल है. आई डोंट थिंक देयर इज एनीथिंग मोर, है ना. सो अच्छा, इफ यू वांट टू गो बाय द बुक डेफिनेशन, देन यू कैन से द पॉलिटिकल लिबर्टी रेफर्स टू बोथ द एक्ट ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूटिंग एंड द एक्ट ऑफ कंट्रोलिंग द गवर्नमेंट वाया जनरल एंड कंटीन्यूअस प्रोसेस ऑफ डिस्कशन अकॉर्डिंग टू ईच एंड एवरी इंडिविजुअल्स कैपेसिटी. This was, I think, the definition which was given by Ernest Becker. ठीक है, उसके बाद तो बाकी है. इकोनॉमिक लिबर्टी बहुत सिंपल है. इकोनॉमिक लिबर्टी इज द लिबर्टी that you possess with respect to you being a worker. ठीक है, worker who is indulging in service both via physical labor plus मेंटल लेबर, राइट. तो इन दोनों एस्पेक्ट में आप जो है वर्कर के राइट्स एंजॉय करते हैं, which is a part of your economic liberty. ठीक है, तो this is work. So if I just have to draw parallels, तो I'll just say civil, poly, economic. Civil is with respect to an individual. Poly is with respect to you being a citizen. Economic is with respect to you being a worker. ठीक है? This is the basic understanding of the dimensions of liberty. There's nothing more to this that we have to deal with. And I think that is done. It is of course a ticklish issue. Different economic liberties, different interpretations होते हैं, different understandings होती है, अलग-अलग चीजें होती हैं. ठीक है? So अब before we go to the contemporary debates, there is one last important thing that we need to talk about. वैसे कितना बड़ा गया है वीडियो? ठीक है, considerably बड़ा हुआ है, considerably बड़ा. 47 minutes तो हमने already surpass कर दिए. ठीक है, but I think we're gaining a good depth of knowledge in that time, right? I think it's a good trade-off. 47 minutes for these concepts is a good trade-off. I'm really craving a coffee right now, a good coffee, but bad idea. Anyways, एक कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ते हैं. वो कॉन्सेप्ट हमने ब्रीफली उसके ऊपर डाइव जो कहने वो कर लिया है. कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी और कहा गया नेगेटिव लिबर्टी. हाँ, नेगेटिव लिबर्टी. ठीक है, तो इस कॉन्सेप्ट पे हल्की सी और थोड़ी सी बात कर लेते हैं. ठीक है, यहाँ पे कर लेते. चलो, पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी. देखो, आपको लग रहा होगा ये देख के मैं बहुत मेसी वे में पढ़ता हूँ, बट मैं काफ़ी कंपार्टमेंटलाइज करके पढ़ता हूँ चीज़ों को, काफ़ी स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन से पढ़ता हूँ. ठीक है, तो काफ़ी नीट वे में पढ़ता हूँ मैं. ये तो पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है. व्हाइट बोर्ड would be a better thing, but I am more used to the feel of the paper and the pen. essentially मेरा जो घर है वहाँ पर मैं दीवारों के ऊपर ही काम करता हूँ, तो मुझे व्हाइट बोर्ड्स की आदत नहीं है. पेंसिल और इसकी आदत है, या पेन या इसकी आदत है, बट यहाँ पे नहीं कर सकते तो पेपर लगा दिया. दूसरा लगा लेना चाहिए था, बट उसमें टाइम चला जाएगा. पॉजिटिव एंड नेगेटिव लिबर्टी. ठीक है, देखिए एक चीज हमने बहुत ऑब्जर्व करी है पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव के एस्पेक्ट में. पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी में हम कहते हैं कि देयर इज The state helps you to remove the impediments that stop you from attaining your self-appointed goal. नेगेटिव लिबर्टी में हम कहते हैं द स्टेट डज नॉट it sort of does not interfere with you appointing your self-appointed goals. But what are these impediments? है ना, this is a good question to ask, right? It's a reasonable question. What are these impediments? ठीक है, एक चार्टर निकला था 1941 में. It was called the Atlantic Charter. Okay, it gave out 4 fundamental things which might which need to be, जिसमें impediments नहीं होनी चाहिए. क्या थे मैं आपको बताता हूँ, एक सेकंड. यहाँ पर है ना चार चीजें थी. अटलांटिक चार्टर में 4 चीजों के बारे में बात करी. The first thing it spoke about was freedom of speech. Second one was freedom of worship. Third thing was freedom from fear. ये from बहुत important है, ठीक है, and I'll tell you why. Fourth one was from want. अब इसकी प्लेसमेंट ऊपर नीचे हो सकती है, बट थे यही 4 चीजें. अब यहाँ पर देखो मैं हाईलाइट करता हूँ फ्रॉम को. फ्रॉम का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस है. अब पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव समझना है ना, इससे समझ लो, सब समझ में आ जाएगा. दिस रेफर्स टू नेगेटिव लिबर्टी. दिस रेफर्स टू पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी. फर्स्ट टू रेफर टू नेगेटिव लिबर्टी, सेकेंड टू रेफर टू पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी. फ्रॉम है ना तो पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी, नहीं है तो नेगेटिव लिबर्टी. कैसे? फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच. मेरे बीच में कौन आएगा जब मैं स्पीच दे रहा हूं? स्टेट आएगी, स्टेट के रेगुलेशंस आएंगे, वो कहेगी आप ये नहीं कह सकते, वो नहीं कह सकते. सो द स्टेट विल नॉट इंटरफियर इन माय फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच. फ्रीडम ऑफ वर्शिप, if it's an, let's say, a fascist religious state, it would tell me I can't worship this god. So freedom of worship would require that the state does not interfere with my liberty. Okay, so freedom of speech and freedom of worship, non-interference from state is required. But freedom from fear, देखो, one of the reasons why state was developed apart from Nozick's idea to save your property was also to save you as an individual citizen, right? कि आपको सेफ्टी दे पाए स्टेट. तो फ्रीडम फ्रॉम फियर, इसमें मुझे कौन हेल्प करेगा? स्टेट हेल्प करेगा. तो जो चीजें which can affect my security, the state will ensure that those things do not affect my security, those things do not threaten my security. That is freedom from fear. ठीक है? And then last is freedom from want. Essentially इसको इस तरीके से समझो that I am compelled to do a lot of things that I don't want to do. You know, generally poor people, perhaps even middle class, upper middle class, rich people are compelled to do the things they don't want to do because they lack means to do something. It is particularly the poor people who are impacted. The state should come in between and help them. इसका brilliant example would be जो हेगल की argument थी. What is theoretical may not be effective. स्टेट ने ये जरूर कह दिया है कि आप एजुकेशन लो. स्टेट ने परहैप्स ये कंपलसरी भी कर दिया है कि एजुकेशन इज कंपलसरी फॉर ऑल सिटीजंस. बट a lot of people don't have the means to afford that education. Education is too expensive for them. तो इसमें पॉजिटिव रोल आएगा स्टेट का, wherein it will ensure that education is subsidized, wherein it will ensure that there are reservations or whatever the processes might be. The point being that freedom from fear and freedom from want, that is I am not compelled to do what I don't want to do, इसे मिटाने के लिए स्टेट की इन्वॉल्वमेंट नेसेसरी है. बट फ्रीडम ऑफ वर्शिप एंड फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच के लिए स्टेट की नॉन इन्वॉल्वमेंट की जरूरत है. तो अटलांटिक चार्टर के ये 4 आप समझ लोगे ना, तो इसी से आपको समझ में आ जाएगा पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी क्या है, नेगेटिव लिबर्टी क्या है. ठीक है, दैट वाज वन. अब हमने लिबर्टी क्या है ये देख लिया, हमने कंस्ट्रेंट्स ऑफ लिबर्टी पढ़ लिया. अब देखिए एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज पढ़ते हैं. शिट, एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज पढ़ते हैं. लिबर्टी का एसेंशियली जन्म कहाँ से हुआ? ठीक है, नेट ये बिलीफ है. सो ये लिख लेते हैं कि origin ऑफ लिबर्टी क्या है, ठीक है। नेट नेट ये माना जाता है कि जब इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन हो रहा था तब लिबर्टी ने जन्म लिया, ठीक है। एंड व्हाई वाज दैट? See, this was one of the first times wherein such enormous amounts of money was being circulated, was being generated. इतना इनकम लोगों ने perhaps कभी नहीं देखा होगा. I'm talking about the rich class, ठीक है. तो अब रिच क्लास कहने लगे कि यार स्टेट इंटरवीन नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि स्टेट को तो दिख रहा था कि भाई इकोनॉमिक डिस्पैरिटी हो रही है. तो दीज रिच क्लासेस इंसिस्टेड दैट द स्टेट शुड नॉट इन्वॉल्व in regulation of the market and let the market essentially carry out its own forces, ठीक है. तो इसमें क्या हो गया था पता है? Essentially because of this the people insisted that all the contracts that are being prepared should be enforced by the state. apart अच्छा ये मैं लास्ट में भी बोलना भूल गया था, एक दो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स के अगेंस्ट थे लोग, जैसे स्लेवरी हो गया. इसका मिल ने काफी एक अच्छा आर्गुमेंट दिया था कि अब अभी अपनी लिबर्टी लूज करके हमेशा की लिबर्टी लूज कर दोगे. इफ यू आर बिकमिंग अ स्लेव, देन बाय एक्सरसाइजिंग योर लिबर्टी, बाय बिकमिंग अ स्लेव you will be leading to the dissolution of your liberty as a human. Okay, so by exercising your liberty at this moment, if you're leading, if that leads to the dissolution of liberty forever, then you are not allowed to engage in such liberty. तो फिर आप स्लेवरी में इंडल्ज नहीं कर पाओगे अगर आपको चाहिए भी तो, ठीक है. ये मिल की आर्ग्यूमेंट थी, काफी अच्छी आर्ग्यूमेंट है. अभी अगर आप लिबर्टी चूज करते हो जिसकी वजह से फ्यूचर में आपकी सब लिबर्टी खत्म हो जाती है, then you're not allowed to exercise your liberty at that moment. उसके अगेंस्ट के आर्गुमेंट्स मैंने काफी सुने नहीं है, बट आई एम श्योर देयर माइट बी सम गुड आर्गुमेंट्स अगेंस्ट इट एज वेल. पॉइंट बी, नेट बहुत पैसा आ रहा था. लोगों ने कहा कि स्टेट शुड नॉट इंटरफियर विद द मार्केट. लोगों ने कहा लेट द मार्केट फोर्सेस डील विद द सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड व्हाटएवर एग्जिस्ट्स, ठीक है. उन्होंने कहा कि स्टेट शुड एनफोर्स ऑल द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स. अब उनका ये कहने का बेसिस क्या था? उनका बेसिस था कि इंडिविजुअल नोज the individual is the only person who knows what is best for his or her interest, ठीक है. इंडिविजुअल को छोड़ के और किसी को नहीं पता उसके इंटरेस्ट के लिए सबसे अच्छा क्या है. स्टेट को नहीं पता, उनके माता को नहीं पता, पिता को नहीं पता, किसी को नहीं, बस इंडिविजुअल को. गिवन द इंडिविजुअल अटेन्स अ सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ एज, ठीक है. उसी वजह से उन्होंने कहा सब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स को एनफोर्स करो. अभी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स एनफोर्स होने लग गए, मार्केट फोर्सेस को अपने आप से चलना अलाउ कर दिया सरकारों ने. पर उससे क्या हुआ? With time people realized that there is an enormous amount of social inequality that is creating. Therefore, by giving the liberty to a few very very rich individuals, the state compromised the liberty of the majority. And the state realized this, and then it understood that well, it's not a good thing. Then one of the first proponents of positive liberty appeared, who was John Stuart Mill. अब देखिए जॉन स्टुअर्ट मिल के अगेंस्ट, मतलब ये जब आप पढ़ोगे तो आपको कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी लगेगा कि जेएस मिल लार्जली एडवोकेटेड फॉर नेगेटिव लिबर्टी. उन्होंने कहा था फ्री स्पीच के अंदर, कॉन्डक्ट के अंदर इंडिविजुअल के जो है उसके बीच में स्टेट नहीं आनी चाहिए, ठीक है. तो एसेंशियली इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन हुआ. इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन के बाद लाजीज फेयर कैपिटलिज्म आया, ठीक है. ये वर्ड लाजीज फेयर इंडिविजुअलिज्म है, सॉरी मैं ये टर्मिनोलॉजी लिख लीजिए, काफी अच्छी टर्मिनोलॉजी है, ठीक है. लाजीज फेयर इंडिविजुअलिज्म आया, जुअलिज्म आया. What did the people believe during this time? That individual interests would lead to social interests, ठीक है. If each individual follows his or her own individual interest, it would lead to the evolution or the benefit of the social interest. But इससे क्या हो गया? Economic disparity, liberty of few at the cost of many. ये वैसे हायक का ही आर्गुमेंट हो गया ना. हायक नेट क्या कहते हैं पता है? एंड में वो कहते हैं कि complete freedom of some is much better than limited freedom of all. ये हायक का आर्गुमेंट है. इसके अगेंस्ट मैंने अभी तक बहुत कंस्ट्रक्टिव आर्गुमेंट सुना नहीं है वैसे, बट दैट डज नॉट मीन it's a good argument. It's the only argument, ठीक है. इकोनॉमिक डिस्पैरिटी. फिर पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी का कॉन्सेप्ट आया, ठीक है. वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट प्रोपोनेंट्स ऑफ दिस वाज मिल. तो यस, विद रिस्पेक्ट टू तो जॉन स्टुअर्ट मिल ने क्या किया था पता है? उन्होंने दो चीजों में बांट दिया था ह्यूमन कंडक्ट को, सेल्फ रिगार्डिंग इंटरेस्ट, अदर रिगार्डिंग इंटरेस्ट। उन्होंने कहा सेल्फ रिगार्डिंग इंटरेस्ट में भैया नेगेटिव लिबर्टी, इंडिविजुअल इज एबल टू डू व्हाटएवर ही और शी वांट्स टू डू। अदर रिगार्डिंग इंटरेस्ट में the state should step in. The state should ensure that with the conduct of the individual, which has consequences on the other individuals, is not degenerating into license. उसको check में रखिए आप। तो he was one of the first proponents of this sort of positive liberty as well. ये एक एग्जांपल हो गया उनके पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी का। उन्होंने एक और एग्जांपल दिया था अपने पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी का व्हेन ही स्पोक अबाउट, व्हेन ही गिव द एग्जांपल ऑफ अ प्लांट, ही सेड जस्ट द वे इन व्हिच ए, और मैंने ये लिखा भी है यहाँ पे, हाँ, because उन्होंने कहा था that just like a plant is able to grow in all of the directions according to his or her own will, an individual should be able to do that as well. This is very similar to Isaiah Berlin's understanding. Berlin की understanding पढ़ेंगे हम 5 मिनट में पढ़ते हैं, as soon as we done with negative positive का understanding, ठीक है? तो net मिल ने कहा था कि पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी इज नॉट मियरली द एब्सेंस ऑफ ऑब्स्टिकल्स बट सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन। ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, इसको आइजिया बर्लिन के टाइम पे कवर करेंगे, ठीक है? तो ये आपको समझ में आ गया। तो फिर लोग पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी की बात करने लग गए। दे सेड स्टेट के कुछ पार्ट, कुछ एसेंशियली कुछ रोल्स होने चाहिए, ठीक है? हाइक भी उसी के फेवर में है, वो कहते हैं कुछ रोल्स होने चाहिए, इस मार्केट को आप रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस का इंस्ट्रूमेंट मत बनाइए, ठीक है? ये आपको समझ में आ गया? I think more or less we're done with negative and positive. Yes, we're done with negative and positive. Now we come to the contemporary debates. This is the second last topic. ठीक है? After this, we just have to deal with the Marxist understanding of liberty, which we will deal with. Marxist understanding बहुत simple है, but I am not going the traditional path. ठीक है? I'm not going to tell you about Marxist understanding based on what is written in Gauba or Haywood or Bhargava. ठीक है? We'll understand it from one of the most brilliant thinkers that I have come across in Marxism, Christopher Clodwell. He wrote a book called The Concept of Freedom, in which there was one part which dealt with liberty, and it was an absolutely fabulous understanding of his liberty. Okay, essentially what the Marxist understanding is as well, but I won't dive very deep into it. We'll just try to get an overview. You know, you can always go in and read more, and that is the idea of doing this, that you can, you know, that I'm able to imbibe in you a sense of, you know, that I want to know more about the subject. Okay? Let me just have some water. Then we deal with the contemporary debates. Before that, contemporary debates में we'll be dealing with essentially not a lot of people. See, if I have to mention contemporary debates, we've got Berlin, Isaiah Berlin. We've got Nozick. Nozick के पहले we had Hayek. Hayek के पहले we had Hegel. Idealist understanding. Hayek. Friedman. Nozick. आपको लग रहा होगा यार 5 थिंकर्स है, कैसे पढ़ेंगे? I'm so sorry. जल्दी हो जाएगा, not difficult at all. ठीक है? Just give me a second. Let me just have some water. मैं ना dehydrate का फील हो जाता हूँ. I need to ensure that I keep having water. I do realize the difficulty of trying to understand what is written over here. My camera quality is also not the best, but that is what we have to make do with, right? Let's start with Berlin's understanding. इसमें है जगह तो नहीं है, बनानी पड़ेगी, ठीक है? बना लेते हैं या लगा, या एक दूसरा लगाऊं मैं कुछ, तो ठीक है, उसमें टाइम चले जाएगा ना। ये पॉज होता है क्या? दिस पॉजेस देन आई कैन अच्छा नहीं, ये पॉज तो नहीं होगा, ये फिर बंद ही हो जाएगा। इसमें पॉज का ऑप्शन होना चाहिए वैसे, बट चलो ठीक है, कोई नहीं। बर्लिन, ठीक है, आपको ये दिख रहा है? बर्लिन के ना एसेंशियली understanding of liberty was not based on the state. His understanding of liberty was primarily based upon the individual, and he wrote a book called The Concept of Liberty. 1958 or 48? 1958, yes. 1958 में कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ लिबर्टी लिखी थी इन्होंने. इंडिविजुअल पे एम्फेसिस था. ठीक है. एसेंशियली इस कॉन्सेप्ट में क्या कहते थे? कॉन्सेप्ट, नाउ दिस वाज अ ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग पेपर एट दैट टाइम. द रीजन बीइंग दैट his understanding of positive liberty was not उनके पहले किसी ने बात करी नहीं थी. although some people say कि मिल ने बात करी थी, but I mean there is some consensus that he was one of the first people to talk about such a concept of positive liberty. उन्होंने क्या कहा था? देखो, negative liberty उनके हिसाब से क्या है? That is the lack of coercion of someone else's will or my will. This is very similar to individual freedom का idea of F.A. Hayek. ठीक है, we'll get to that, but you do understand this, right? So he said that according to Berlin, negative liberty of the individual consists in not being prevented from attaining his goal by other human beings. ठीक है, okay, good, ठीक है, चलो ये आपकी negative liberty की understanding है. अब उनकी positive liberty की understanding के हिसाब से man is the master. This is net his understanding of positive liberty. Now what does he mean by this? And this is where it's revolutionary. ठीक है, if you understand this from a moral perspective, if you understand his idea of positive liberty from a moral perspective, then it's truly groundbreaking, right? Because if I say that the man is the master, if I have to understand positive liberty from a freedom perspective, liberty is equal to freedom, so moral understanding of his positive liberty is referring to your inner ability. ठीक है, तो वो कह रहे हैं कि as an individual I am free because I am not bound by my own impulses. I am not bound by my own lower instincts. I am able to go and achieve what I want to go and achieve, and that is brilliant. ठीक है, तो उनकी positive liberty की understanding perhaps उनके पहले किसी ने individual के inner sense में नहीं दी थी. तो his moral understanding of positive liberty is that an individual is only free if he is free from within, and he is only free from within if he is not giving into his momentary impulses, if he is not giving into his limitations. ठीक है, this was Berlin's understanding of positive liberty with respect to the individual. inner being के ऊपर उनका ज्यादा emphasis था. ठीक है, positive liberty के अंदर ये उनकी moral argument थी. material argument थोड़ी weak पड़ जाती है. material argument में वो ये कहते हैं कि since man is the master, therefore the success or the failure of the man depends upon the man himself. ये उनकी understanding है. ठीक है, तो for example वो कहते हैं कि उनका example था कि if a human wants to become a whale or a penguin, well the state can't do anything in it. ठीक है, okay, understandable. और उसी से उन्होंने ये example दिया था कि if a human wants to buy a loaf of bread which is too expensive for him, उसमें भी ह्यूमन की गलती है. बट देखिए मटेरियल वे में तो अगर मैं इसको ऐसे समझाऊंगा, बर्लिन है इंडिविजुअल एम्फेसिस, पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी इज इक्वल टू मैन इज मास्टर. ये पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी को दो इसमें बांट दो, मटेरियल सेंस, मॉरल सेंस. मॉरल सेंस में ब्रिलियंट आर्ग्यूमेंट, रेवोल्यूशनरी. ठीक है, मटेरियल सेंस में उनका ये कहना है कि अगर मैन ही मास्टर है, सो मैन इज आल्सो मास्टर ऑफ हिज मटेरियल accumulations. तो कहते हैं if someone is poor it's his fault, if someone is rich it's his fault. स्टेट इसमें कुछ नहीं करेगा. स्टेट will be only responsible for negative liberty, वो हमने देखा है. पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी में स्टेट का कोई रोल नहीं है. ठीक है, क्यों? क्योंकि मैन इज द मास्टर. ये मॉरल सेंस में बहुत अच्छा है कि आप खुद के मास्टर हो तो आप अपने गोल और आपके बीच में कुछ नहीं आने दोगे, कोई इंपल्स नहीं आएगी, आपका कोई डिस्ट्रैक्शन आपके सामने नहीं आएगा. मटेरियल सेंस में वीक पड़ जाता है. क्यों पड़ जाता है? अगर वो कह रहे हैं कि मैन unable to buy loaf of bread is his fault, but इसमें तो स्टेट अगर देखिए मॉरल सेंस में स्टेट आपको कुछ हेल्प नहीं कर सकता. your control over your own impulses is your thing, okay? It is only something that you can achieve. But material sense में अगर आपको कुछ चीज बहुत एक्सपेंसिव लग रही है जो वैसे उतनी एक्सपेंसिव होनी नहीं चाहिए, खाना इज शुड नॉट बी अ लग्जरी, तो उसमें तो स्टेट हेल्प कर सकती है ना आपको. If a man is unable to buy a loaf of bread, then the state can intervene. It can provide meals to the man. It can give a basic minimum wage to the man. It can subsidize the basic food rates. But ये बर्लिन मानेंगे नहीं. बर्लिन कहेंगे नहीं, ये तो मैन की खुद की जिम्मेदारी है, स्टेट को इसमें कुछ नहीं करना चाहिए. तो देयर आर सर्टेन, और इसको है ना बहुत खूबसूरती से गोवा में दिया है when he says in the second case, that is with reference to the loaf of bread, Berlin is referring to such disabilities that are the product of the social arrangement which is alterable by political action. This is a beautiful line, because the loaf of bread is a result of the social arrangement which can be altered by political action. State के positive rule से ये modify हो सकता है, ठीक है? तो उसी वजह से वो कहते हैं urge for removal of such disabilities and led to several social and political movements, ठीक है? And etc. So he ends by saying Berlin's concept of positive liberty does not correspond to the positive liberalism concept of positive liberty. ठीक है, नेट समझ में आ गया बर्लिन क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं. बर्लिन का पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी का जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो रेवोल्यूशनरी है. नेगेटिव अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज मोर और लेस सिमिलर टू व्हाट वी हैव अंडरस्टूड, बट नेगेटिव लिबर्टी का भी इनका जो आइडिया है वो इंडिविजुअल से ज्यादा डील करता है, स्टेट से कम. और वो कहते हैं पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी में उसको दो में बांट दो. पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी इन दी मॉरल सेंस, इन दी मटेरियल सेंस. मॉरल सेंस में रेवोल्यूशनरी, मटेरियल सेंस में somewhat of a flawed argument, क्योंकि the material conditions of a man are not only his doing, they are the doing of the social surroundings of the man. They are the doing of the social arrangements of the man, and they can be altered by political action. The state can help the man, and therefore it must, right? So, well, whether it should or not is a different thing, but according to Berlin, जरूरत ही नहीं पड़नी चाहिए, क्योंकि मैन इज द मास्टर ऑफ हिमसेल्फ, तो वो अपने आप को सक्सीड कर ही लेगा. बट सक्सेस एंड फेलियर इज आल्सो लार्जली डिटरमाइंड बाय योर सोशल अरेंजमेंट. तो इस पे बर्लिन क्या कहते हैं, आई एम नॉट वेरी श्योर, राइट? दैट वाज बर्लिन्स आइडिया. सो वी डन विद वन थिंग, वी डन विद बर्लिन. हेगल को तो हमने यहाँ पे पढ़ा. मोस्ट ऑफ द आर्गुमेंट्स दैट हेगल गिव्स आई हैव कवर्ड, ओके. Essentially, Hegel begins by talking about the need. He begins by talking about the ideal state. He believes that the state is ideal. What does he mean by the ideal state? He means state which is based in reason. ठीक है? तो उसी वजह से वो कहते हैं that this is the state which is based in reason. इसी वजह से वो कहते हैं कि अगर मुझे इसे समराइज करना है, वैसे काफी कुछ आ जाएगा ना इसमें, तो वो स्टेट को एज एन एम्बॉडीमेंट ऑफ रीजन देखता है. तो उसके बाद वो ये कहता है कि what is the necessity of state and liberty. तो वो यही कहते हैं कि theoretical is not always effective. वो कहते हैं थ्योरी में तो आपने कह दिया कि education should be attained by all individuals, but भाई it also needs to be accessible to all individuals. For that state is required. तो वो इस रोल ऑफ स्टेट को अग्री करते हैं. वो ये कहते हैं कि स्टेट शुड इन्वॉल्व इटसेल्फ इन these roles, ठीक है? And therefore he says that अगर if we are compelled to give some liberty for that, then we should do that, because it allows for a greater liberty to be enjoyed by all. And इसी के regarding ना Ernest Becker makes an argument in which he says that liberty which exists in a regulated and regulated and restrictive, or regulated and just a second. See, I can just say anything, but then if that's not what is written in the text, then it will be wrong, right? It will be wrong on my part. So it is better to, just check the text rather than, yes, sorry. So Baker says, and it is Baker, yes, Baker says. So Baker says that liberty which exists in a regulative manner, it exists in a individual relational manner, right? And it exists in, therefore, so he says that liberty which exists in a relative as well as a regulated manner. Therefore, each and every individual enjoys same amount of liberty. At the same time, each and every individual also enjoys special liberty so that he or she can attain special goals, right? But net liberty is regulated and liberty is relative, and therefore Bacon concludes by saying that this relative, restricted, regulated idea of liberty is still more empowering than some individuals having the complete liberty, right? This is net Baker's argument, and you know it's a good argument. Hegel, let's quickly get over Hegel. Okay, so we broadly understood what Hegel anyways wants to talk about. He talks about the ideal state, and he says why is there a need for the state to come into existence with respect to liberty. So we've understood that as well. Because he believes that, well, essentially, if the state does not come and regulate your liberty, then it will degenerate into license, and that is not that's not good. And also theoretical is not effective, right? That was his main argument. We've understood that. Now, as an understanding of Hegel को we call it the idealist understanding of the state, ठीक है? Idealist understanding of liberty as well, ठीक है? तो in this understanding of the state, essentially the state sees that any individual will only make such matters political which need to be made political, okay? Or any individual will only make such matters political which are social, and that is more important. Any individual will only make matters political which are social. For example, if an individual is unable to purchase a loaf of bread because it is too expensive, then that becomes a social problem. It is not his or her individual problem. Why? Because it can be altered by political action. If an individual is black or if an individual is white, the individual would not go to the state and say that I am black, I am white, and this is my problem. If the individual who is black is discriminated against the individual who is white, then the individual will go to the state and say, I have been discriminated on the basis of my color. Why? Because it is a social problem now. It is a problem which has social consequences, correct? That was one important understanding जो idealist theory of freedom में essentially बढ़नी थी. Yes, Hegel के भी हो गए. We're done with two thinkers. देखो, Berlin हो गया, Hegel हो गया, Hayek, Friedman, Nozick. तीन बचते हैं, and then of course we've got the Marxist understanding. अरे यार ये तो चलने वाला है, मैं हमेशा भूल जाता हूँ कि this one does not work. I am sorry. Where did the pen go? That works. Well, it turns out we okay. That is the pen. So after that we've got to do the Marxist understanding. ठीक है? It is very simple. बहुत छोटी है, जल्दी हो जाएगी. ठीक है? Just bear with me. Please bear with me. I know it's getting long, but it's worth going into the depth. ठीक है? Quickly, Hayek essentially begins by talking about his idea of individual freedom. What is individual freedom according to him? Individual freedom according to him is the lack of coercion of my will by someone else's will. That is his net argument of individual freedom. Hayek distinguishes his individual freedom from inner freedom, political freedom, and freedom as power. Okay, let me just write it down for you quickly. Just a second. Meanings of freedom, political, inner. Yes, brilliant. So where do we include Hayek? So मेरे को लगता है यहाँ पे आ जाएगा Hayek. ठीक है? Berlin was one. Hegel was second. Hayek is third, right? Talks about individual freedom. Right? Distinguishes individual freedom from inner freedom. Political freedom is power. ठीक है? So what according to Hayek is political freedom? let's start with inner freedom. His idea of inner freedom is very similar to Berlin's idea of inner freedom. कि inner freedom जो होता है वो मैं अपने impulses को so मैंने एक goal रखा है and I am going to attain that goal irrespective of the different impediments that come in my path, right? So इसके बारे में जो है this is his understanding of inner freedom, but this understanding of inner freedom is not similar to individual freedom. ठीक है? तो वो distinguish कर रहा है कि individual freedom is not inner freedom. Individual freedom is that someone else's will is not coerced on my will. ठीक है? तो inner freedom is different from individual freedom. He then talks about political freedom. Political freedom is then essentially similar to the political liberty का idea that I am able to elect the government that will represent me and that I am able to control the government as well. State को पहले evil देखा जाता था, therefore one wanted safety from the state. ये western understanding है. State को अभी more or less a representation of the human देखा जाता है, of the humans देखा जाता है. Because why? Because we elect the people, right? We elect the people. We choose our representatives. Net in democracies. तो this political freedom is also not equal to individual freedom. ठीक है? Because individual freedom is someone else's will does not coerce upon my will. But political freedom तो कुछ अलग ही जो हमने देखा. Freedom is part that is I'm able to do what essentially I want to do on the basis of the status that I have. This is not the correct understanding, but if I have to simplify it very simply, चलो कोई नहीं, let me just read from the text itself so that it becomes very clear, right? So let's see, a person he says finally freedom is power signifies power to satisfy our wishes, the extent of choice of alternatives to us. ठीक है? So this is how he distinguishes individual freedom from freedom as power, freedom as essentially inner freedom, and the first one which was political freedom. Okay, it was the second one. Sorry, मुझे भी शायद नींद आ रही है काफी, but there's the difference of the different freedoms, right? Third point that Hayek makes is essentially the point that we already studied. He says कि let there be a welfare state, but let not the state engage in, but let not the state make market the instrument of distributive justice. ठीक है? इसका एग्जाम्पल वो क्या देता है, इसका कारण क्या बताता है कि मार्केट जो है उसमें इनोवेशन खत्म हो जाएगा, मार्केट में क्रिएटिविटी खत्म हो जाएगी, मार्केट में कंपटीशन खत्म हो जाएगा, and that's not a good place to be in, right? And also altering market forces that you don't understand completely might not be a good idea, right? This is essentially what Hayek talks about. After that, he talks about equality and liberty. We already studied that. We already studied how he says that the cake of the freedom should not be divided equally amongst all, but it should be divided upon the contribution of the each individual to the pool of knowledge. ठीक है? So we already know Hayek's view on equality. ठीक है? We already know his view on equality and freedom. He does not believe that उनका नेट यही आर्ग्यूमेंट है, इंडिविजुअल टैलेंट्स में डिफर करते हैं, तो टू ट्रीट देम इक्वली वुड बी इन इफेक्ट टू ट्रीट देम इनइक्वली. बट he also says, and it's a very important point and a statement that you should write down, he says that to treat them equally before law means that we must treat them materially unequally. Materially unequal होना पड़ेगा to treat them effectively equal amongst to treat them effectively equal before the law. That's a very important statement, and I hope you've taken note of it. Yes. So in the end, he gives a statement that the complete freedom of some is more important and is better than the limited freedom of all. I don't know, I mean, I am yet to find someone who is brilliant enough to talk to me about what are the criticisms of this argument, so. But in case I do, I would let you guys know. But net I'm unable to find someone, right? And there is a good line that Hayek says, the desire of making people more alike in their condition cannot be accepted in a free society as a justification of further discriminatory coercion. Okay, it's a good statement, an important statement. We're done with Hayek क्योंकि हमने पहले ही Hayek को काफी अच्छे से पढ़ लिया था. फ्राइडमैन के 3 पॉइंट्स है यार सिर्फ. फ्राइडमैन का एक स्टेटमेंट है. Let's begin with the statement. He says, repudiation of equality is necessary for the sake of maintaining freedom. तो repudiation क्या होता है? Elimination. तो essentially elimination. तो कहते हैं repudiation of equality, that is elimination of equality, is necessary to ensure that there is freedom. ठीक है? उसके क्या arguments है? I don't think उतने डेप्थ में अभी जाने की ज़रूरत है. We are already, we lack time. So let's not go into the basic. Let's not go into more depth. He essentially, so what is his view? His view is much similar to that of Hayek's. He says कि minimal involvement of government, laissez-faire existence is what is prescribed. Minimal involvement of the government into the actions of the society is what is prescribed, and that is what he prescribes as well. There is one criticism of Friedman, Milton Friedman. The primary criticism that comes is that he is unable to understand the difference between a simple economy and a capitalist economy. right? He's unable to understand the difference between simple exchange and capitalist economy. And what are the arguments for this criticism? They say that unlike a simple exchange, in capitalist economy, the men are essentially coerced by the market forces to do what the market wants them to do. Now that's it. There goes your free will. There goes your freedom. कि एक मार्केट के अंदर किसी के पास ये फ्रीडम एसेंशियली नहीं होता है, उसको क्या करना है? उसको इनएविटेबली वही करना पड़ता है जिस चीज को मार्केट वैल्यू करता है. ठीक है. For example, possibly the only reason why doctors don't make as much as, let's say, movie stars do is because movie stars are able to bring in more money than the doctors. And essentially that is why the market would value movie stars much more than the doctors. But that does not mean that, both of them are doing equally, let's say, both of them have equal social contribution, okay, for the good of the society, right? That is not the case. Point being, the market values some things and therefore it does not value all things. What it values is essentially what people will be attracted to do. ठीक है, they will be compelled to do that. भाई जिसमें पैसा है मैं वही कर पाऊंगा, ठीक है, so that मेरा घर चल पाए. People will be compelled to do that. तो there goes your free will, there goes your freedom. ठीक है, तो तुम्हारा freedom एक लेवल पे तो वो खत्म हो जाता है. दूसरा वो कहते हैं कि unlike a simple exchange, मार्केट के अंदर there is no flow of creativity that is allowed. There is no flow of creativity that is allowed to channel the labor according to the wishes of the individuals. For example, अगर मुझे कोई particular way में labor को चलाना है, I cannot do that. I have to do and follow that method which brings me most efficiency. ठीक है, तो if I have to quote, essentially, labor has no sufficient capital of its own and hence no choice in the market. Market does not allow creative channels of labor to be divided via creative channels. तो freedom कैसा हुआ, right? तो वो वही कहते हैं कि हमारे पास जो है channels ही नहीं है कि हम अपने हिसाब से labor को mold करें. We have to go by what the market deems to be the most efficient, right? Friedman के यही points थे. We done with Friedman. Nozick तो और भी छोटा है, ठीक है. Nozick के net 4 point है. He says that the state, so he essentially tries to understand what the state functions of the, so Nozick tries to understand the functions of the state on the basis of the origin of the state. तो वो ये मानते हैं, जैसे मैंने आपको पहले बताया था, Nozick का ये आर्ग्यूमेंट था कि स्टेट essentially इवॉल्व इस बेसिस पे हुई है टू प्रोटेक्ट द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल्स. तो काफी मल्टीपल डिफरेंट एंटिटीज थे व्हिच बैटल्ड अमंगस्ट देमसेल्व्स एज टू हु विल बेस्ट प्रोटेक्ट द प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल्स, बिडिंग हुई एटसेट्रा, एंड द वन व्हिच वन बिकेम द स्टेट. ठीक है, तो नोजिक कहते हैं इफ द स्टेट इज essentially a company that is managing my property, it has no right to decide what I do with my own property. ठीक है भाई, अगर आप बैंक में अगर जाकर एफडी करते हो तो you do not allow the bank to do whatever it wants to do with your FD, right? It does not until you sign a particular, essentially document that allows the bank to do that. But you don't allow the bank to do that without signing any document. Essentially, the bank cannot choose to do what it wants to do with your own money, with your money, right? Similarly, the state cannot engage in redistributive justice via my property. इसका अगर एग्जाम्पल समझना है तो इसका एग्जाम्पल ये है कि द मिडिल क्लास मैन हु वर्क 10-12 hours a day, go home, get their salary at the end of the month, and there's a tax that is taken from their salary, and money of that tax is utilized for subsidies of education of the poor people. Right? Now, I'm not saying that the middle class work more than the poor. No, that is not something that I'm saying, and I'm not saying that these are more worthy. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that what Nozick would say is that the middle class do not have a right to choose what is happening with their money. The middle class would perhaps, if they know that this amount of money is being used to fund the education of poor children, then they would perhaps not allow for that to happen, and they would themselves save the money so that they can educate their own children at better institutions. If the poor child ends up getting much better education than the middle class man is able to provide to his own child, then the middle class man would say, well, that's not fair, and why should I not be able to do what I want to do with my money? Why am I being compelled by the state to direct my money so that the poor children get educated. Now I'm not saying what to do, but I'm saying this is what Nozick would say. This would be the argument of Nozick, right? And essentially Nozick says that, right? Apart from that, I've already told you how he believes in the minimalist role of the state. He says that the inequalities of the wealth are the product of human talents. But then, net the only criticism that comes to Nozick, Hayek, Friedman is essentially this: how do you justify that if difference in individual talents is because of difference in material wealth is because of difference in talents, then how do you justify the fact that different social situations lead to different outputs? Different social situations lead to different social outputs. We're done with Nozick. See, we're done with इतने सारे thinkers. काफी जल्दी हो गया. एक लास्ट पार्ट बचता है, which is the Marxist understanding. Marxist understanding बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, बहुत सिंपल, ठीक है. मैं ज़्यादा डेप्थ में नहीं जाऊँगा because I want you guys to read the concept of freedom written by Christopher Caldwell. या आप खुद से भी Marxist understanding नेट पढ़ सकते हो. देखिए, Marxist understanding 2-3 चीज़ों में डिफर करती है जनरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग से. मैं ये कहाँ पर लिखूँ मार्क्सिस्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग? चलो यहाँ पर लिख लेते हैं ना, यही एक जगह दिख रही है मुझे जो बची है. आई एम सॉरी दिस गॉट सो मेसी बट वी कांट डू एनीथिंग अबाउट इट. तो यहाँ पे हम राइटिंग अबाउट द मार्क्सिस्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग, ठीक है. सो what does the Marxist understanding say? Marxist understanding ये कहती है कि जो आपका liberal understanding है net of liberty that is leading to laissez-faire individual. Essentially, it is the capitalist understanding of liberty. So it is I'm so sorry, leading to laissez-faire individualism. ठीक है? This is what they say, that it is leading to laissez-faire individualism. Why are they against it? क्यों है भाई? इसका क्रिस्टोफर क्लॉडवेल एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल. वो एसेंशियली बर्ट्रैंड रसल के अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ लिबर्टी के साथ डिफर करते हैं. उनकी क्या अंडरस्टैंडिंग है उतने डेप्थ में नहीं जाऊंगा, बट वो एसेंशियली ये कह रहे हैं कि देखिए, इफ लिबर्टी इज फ्रीडम फ्रॉम द कोर्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी और द स्टेट, देन एसेंशियली दैट इज नो लिबर्टी एट ऑल. एंड व्हाट इज द बेसिस ऑफ दिस आर्गुमेंट? दे से बिकॉज all knowledge is social knowledge and intellect is the greatest product of social so all knowledge is social knowledge and intellect is the greatest product of the society. कैसे? वो ये कहते हैं, ये मैं लिख लूँगा, ये काफी ये है ना, ये आप भी लिख लीजिए, काफी अच्छा है, ठीक है. मैं यहाँ पर एक्सटेंड कर रहा हूँ उसको. तो they say all knowledge is social knowledge and they say intellect is the greatest product of society. तो अब वो इसको कैसे कहते हैं? देखिए, वो इसमें क्या कह रहे हैं, एसेंशियली वो इसमें ये कह रहे हैं कि वो उसमें बर्ट्रैंड रसल का एग्जांपल देते हैं. वो कहते हैं लेट्स इमेजिन दैट बर्ट्रैंड रसल वाज बोर्न एंड बर्ट्रैंड रसल इज एसेंशियली अ फिलोसोफर हु हैज रिटन ग्रेट लिटरेचर ऑन पॉलिटिक्स एज वेल. ठीक है, सो इस एस्पेक्ट में पॉलिटिकल फिलोसोफर अभी के लिए है, बट नेट वो एक फिलोसोफर है. तो वो क्या कहते हैं? तो वो कहते हैं लेट्स अज्यूम दैट बर्ट्रैंड रसल वाज बोर्न इन अ रिमोट प्लेस इन द वर्ल्ड. लेट्स अज्यूम अंटार्कटिका के कोई तो कोने में है, ऑल्दो हैबिटेशन वहां पे काफी कम है, बट लेट्स अज्यूम, ठीक, तो वहां पे पैदा हो जाता है. दे हिज और हर, सो बर्ट्रैंड रसल्स पेरेंट्स आर एसेंशियली शेपर्ड्स. ठीक है, वो शीप रियरिंग में इंडल्ज करते हैं. बर्ट्रैंड रसल कभी स्कूल नहीं गए. बर्ट्रैंड रसल ने अपनी पूरी जिंदगी बस फार्मिंग किया. ठीक है, फार्मिंग में ही शीप रियरिंग करी है. शीप, चलो ठीक है, बस एग्जांपल ले रहे हैं हम. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ फ्लॉज इन माय एग्जांपल, साइंटिफिक फ्लॉज. ठीक है, तो वो कहते हैं नाउ इफ वी गो 45 years आफ्टर बर्ट्रैंड रसल्स बर्थ, वी गो एंड वी check on Bertrand Russell, will we find the manuscripts of the great works that he has written? No, we won't. तो वो कहते हैं कि अगर बर्ट्रैंड रसल सिर्फ और सिर्फ खुद के दम पे इतने बड़े फिलोसोफर नहीं बने, तो वो किस बेसिस पे इतने बड़े फिलोसोफर बने? वो इसलिए इतने अच्छे फिलोसोफर बने बिकॉज ही हैड द एक्सेस टू द नॉलेज, because he had the access to the social pool of knowledge, because he had the access to all of this brilliant information that all of these great thinkers left before him, and he had access to that. And why did he have access to that? Because he was a part of the society, right? तो ये कहते हैं कि बर्टन रसल इतने इंटेलेक्चुअल थिंकर इस वजह से बन पाए क्योंकि उनके पास इंटेलेक्चुअल कॉन्सेप्ट्स की एक्सेस थी, जो कि इंटेलेक्चुअल कॉन्सेप्ट्स सोशल थे और उनको सोशल एक्सेस था इन सब इंटेलेक्चुअल कॉन्सेप्ट्स का, व्हिच इज व्हाई ही कुड बिकम बर्टन रसल. अगर उनके पास ये एक्सेस ही नहीं होता तो बर्टन रसल ही नहीं बनते. दैट इज देयर फर्स्ट आर्गुमेंट. सेकंड वो ये कहते हैं आप कुछ भी देख लो दुनिया में जो बना है, your expression of free will also requires that you exist in a society. You know, if you say that I am free will and I will only cook for myself, exist for myself and then die with myself, so that is not fundamentally possible. If you are going to a hilltop somewhere, you are still dependent on the flora, fauna and the vegetation for it, but let's assume that you do that. He says even then you will not be free, then and that free will can only exist in a societal apparatus. And why does he say that? He says, well, let's assume you have a free will to go to America. The only way you can go to America is either take a ship from India or you take a flight. But the only way you can take a flight or a ship is because a lot of people came together under a social apparatus by being socially harmonious individuals. They developed the concept of a ship, they developed the concept of an airplane, and then along with each other's help, they created the airplane or the ship. If they would not have created them together, then you would never have been able to enjoy your free will. That is to go and explore America. And the only way that they could create the airplane was because they existed in a social apparatus, or because they were a part of the society. So unlike the individual laissez-faire individualism, जो ये कहता है, जो कैपिटलिज्म का बाय प्रोडक्ट है, जो ये कहता है कि I will only look after my own individual interests, which would lead to the development of the social interest. The Marxist understanding says that laissez-faire individualism would lead to nothing. It will lead to disparity, economic disparity, but it would not lead to free will, because free will can only exist in society. Free will can only exist when you are social creatures. Free will can only exist when you are working together on something that is important to you under a social apparatus. And all the knowledge that you have is social knowledge, right? This is net the Marxist understanding of liberty. ठीक है, वो इसमें मानते हैं कि ये होना चाहिए कि आप दो मेजर पॉइंट्स हैं उनके. नंबर 1, जो भी नॉलेज है वो सोशल नॉलेज है. नंबर 2, इंटेलेक्ट इज द फाइनेस्ट प्रोडक्ट ऑफ सोसाइटी. इंटेलेक्ट आपके खुद के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक नहीं है, वो आपने डेवलप करी है किस बेसिस पे कि आपको सोसाइटी का एक्सेस था और सोसाइटी के नॉलेज का एक्सेस था, सोसाइटी के सोशल नॉलेज पूल का आपको एक्सेस था, उस वजह से आपकी इंटेलेक्ट डेवलप हुई है. और आपका फ्री विल आपको जब एक्सप्रेस करना है वो आप सिर्फ और सिर्फ सोशल वेज में ही कर सकते हो, क्योंकि सोसाइटी साथ में आती है, वो वह कुछ बनाती है जिससे आप अपना फ्री विल एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हो. ये मार्क्सिस्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग है. इसमें ऑफ कोर्स और भी अलग थिंकर्स है अदर देन क्रिस्टोफर ब्रॉडवेल. एक है मार्क्यूस कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ वन डायमेंशनल मैन, ह्यूमनिस्ट बेसिस ऑफ फ्रीडम है, मैकफियर्सन्स कॉन्सेप्ट है क्रिएटिव फ्रीडम का. उस सब में नहीं जाएंगे क्योंकि टाइम काफ़ी चला गया है एंड काफ़ी ज़्यादा सेंसरी ओवरलोड हो जाएगा. बट वी आर डन विद मार्क्सिस्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग एज वेल, राइट? कहाँ गया? यस, मार्क्सिस्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ लिबर्टी. तो कंक्लूजन में जैसे गोमा भी अपना कंक्लूड करते हैं, वो कहते हैं ऑल्दो फ्रीडम इज सॉट फॉर द इंडिविजुअल येट इट कैनॉट बी एंजॉयड बाय द इंडिविजुअल इन आइसोलेशन. Genuine freedom or maximum possible freedom can be attained only in a congenial social order where, on the lines of Marxist phraseology, free development of each will be the necessary condition of free development of all. ये आप Marxist phraseology लिख लीजिए, ठीक है? ये आप लिख लीजिए, free development of each will be the necessary condition of development of all. ठीक है? will be the necessary condition for free development of all. ओके तो ये काफ़ी important points थे. I think we are done. Okay. There is nothing more to do over here. लिबर्टी की नेट ओवरव्यू आपको मिल चुका है. इससे ज़्यादा आपको करना है तो आप खुद पढ़िए. यहाँ पे मैं I should mention that I have mostly used the I have essentially mostly used OP Goa, and the reason being that I found the stratification of ideas to be very clear in OP Goa. You can refer to Hewood as well, and I have referred to Hewood. There are a lot of concepts in Hewood that I wanted to include in this video, but it would have become too big, right? There is a concept of liberation and acceptance that you find in Hewood. There is the concept of liberation that you find in Hewood. Then there are certain concepts in Rajiv Bhargav. One concept is liberty in the individual concept, in the individual context, right? So I would suggest you also go through these multiple different books. You go through some of the authors. That F.A. Hayek, Constitution of Liberty, you could refer that. Isaiah Berlin's Two Concepts of Freedom, you can refer to that. You can refer to a lot of things. But I primarily refer to Goba because I found the stratification to be good. It's a good introductory book to get into this. Okay. I think we're done. I don't think there's anything else to say. But I think there's something that I'm forgetting that I wanted to tell you guys about liberty only. Yes, I haven't been able to get into as much depth as I wanted with Marxism. That is because of the lack of time. But I think there is a good overview that you've gotten. In case you have any doubts, please leave them in the comments. I will try to answer them as much as I can. And yeah, let me know how I can improve. Thank you. Yes, I am so sorry, but there is one thing that I forgot. That was a revision of essentially all that we did. Revision means just to go through the contents of all that we discussed. See, we first began with the introduction. We first began with, I know we first began with the debate, but let me cover it in a good way now, right? So we talked about introduction, we talked about what is liberty, we talked about the universal principle of liberty, after which we then moved on to, the scope of the liberty, that is, liberty deals with the individual, it also deals with the state. Individual के साथ license में जा सकते हैं, state के साथ में authoritarian aspect में जा सकता है. After the scope of the liberty, we essentially dealt with the dimensions of liberty, right? The economic liberty, civil liberty, political liberty. After that, we moved on to the idea of what are the constraints in a liberty? Why are they the constraints in a liberty? We refer to the Atlantic Charter. We refer to the negative and the positive ideas of liberty. We refer to how the negative concept of liberty originated from the Industrial Revolution. How because of that laissez faire individual is promoted. How because of that economic disparity हुई. Because of that state को बोला गया कि आप अब step in करिए and एक positive role से आइए and limit the other regarding interests. ठीक है, the interests the conduct which can have implications on the liberty of the other individuals, right? We ask the state to have a positive role. After that, we then moved on to the contemporary debates. We began with talking about Isaiah Berlin's Two Concepts of Freedom, after which we then talked about the idealist theory of freedom by Hegel, after which we then talked about Hayek's views, after which we then talked about Milton Friedman's views, after which we then talked about Nozick's views, after which we then talked about the Marxist interpretation of liberty. And then we concluded, right? This was a brief overview of all that we spoke about in this video, and yeah. Thank you.